So we're going to start looking at the ArborPress frame. Now, I created a procedure for you here in the handout. This is found in, oopsie. This is found in the Module 2 learning plan. And the handout is right at the bottom here of the number 2 in here. Okay, so it's the ArborPress frame procedure. So if you happen to not be here in class and don't have the hard copy in front of you, this is the PDF that we're referencing now. I have it right now underneath my camera. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up the model that I created with the steps that we have here, and I'm going to show you the steps rather than clicking and doing every little thing here. I'm just going to kind of show you the steps as I go down my design tree so that you understand the procedure and the whys of what we're doing. And then you'll get to work on it individually afterwards. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up my ArborPress, and I'm going to take my bottom little line here. I'm going to go all the way up to the top, and we are going to start with how I created the base. Okay. If we look, and we're going to go back and forth here between, you'll notice that it says create the base here. And what you're going to do is you're going to create the base. I did take a screenshot of my sketch. Okay. And this was off of the top view, and I made it and I extruded it 1 3/8 deep. Okay. I know it's not that easy to see here, but if you have the procedure, the PDF in front of you, it's a little easier to read, or the hard copy. So that's what you see here. So I created my base. Here's my sketch. And I extruded it, and the dimensions, like I said, are here. And you can look at the detail that I gave you for the detail sheet. So we can hit OK here. And then here is our base. So you're going to create that as a solid first. Okay. Then what you're going to do is you're going to add the front radiuses. And that's going to be the next step that we take. So the front radiuses here are right there. Those were just done with fillets. Okay. So those are on the front. Then I'm going to move this down. And the next thing we're going to do is we are going to add the shell. Okay. So the shell command takes something that's solid and it creates an even wall thickness around the outside. So to do the shell command, I'm going to go in here. You are basically, let me cancel out this. You're basically going to go into the shell command right here. When you go into the shell command, this is going to be the dialog box that you get. You are going to select the bottom surface and you're going to specify the wall thickness that you want. And then it shells it out automatically. That's it. That's all you have to do. And you hit OK. And then there you go. And you have a shell here. Okay. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to make an underside hole boss. Okay. Now, this is one of those improvises that I told you about on this ArborPress. In some places, there's just not the dimensions to create something, or they simply didn't put it on. Okay. Or it's hard to follow. Please don't be clicking and doing stuff right now. I just want to show you the procedure. They'll have plenty of time to do it later. So if we go underneath and we look at the detail for this, underneath here, they're showing you a whole bunch of hidden lines, a whole bunch of kind of goofy dimensions down there. And if you try to look up and see what's going on, it's very hard to see. So what I did is I took one of our ArborPresses that I have here in class and I turned it upside down to see what it looked like underneath there. And if you look at one of those, it has just a single bar on the bottom. I call it a gusset. And then it has a boss for where the hole is coming through to give that a longer trajectory of where it's gonna connect with the pin. So if I go back over here, the first part here is I created this boss underneath here, and this is where the hole for that top little spinny thing is going to be sitting in. Okay. And then all I did was I created it with a radius of, I think it was 0.5 around here, and that's off the origin of the part. And then I did straight lines over, and I projected this curve here, and then I extruded it, I believe, 1/2 inch. Okay. Then what I did was I went down here and I created the gusset. The gusset is next. So you're going to notice in your procedure, I'm in the front plane. Okay. The front plane is what I'm sketching on. And then I did a symmetrical extrude on either side. I think that was another 1/2 inch. And then went from there. Okay. So that was the gusset and the boss. Then I did my underside fillets, okay? These are the 1/4" fillets. So if I kind of go back and forth here, here's where it's like sharp corners, right? And then here are the 1/4" fillets that I filled in around the sides. Then I did the 1/8" fillets, which are going to be the ones that are on the flats around the bottoms. And these are typical of, if you would, any cast part that you're going to have. Again, if you happen to be in the classroom, you can kind of look at the base there. Not really an exact duplication, but a version of, okay? This is one of our improvising. If you want to take this in a different direction and make it a little different, that's okay. The purpose of this gusset on the bottom is just to strengthen that platform, so that when we're pressing on it, it doesn't flex. That's all. Okay, so it's just adding some material through there. So that's how I dealt with this whole little area underneath here. Okay, I made it simple. Okay, but still fit the purpose. So after I had the underside in place, then I went to the table. Okay, I'm calling this the table. This is this portion right here that kind of sticks up. Okay, and then I put the hole through the middle, and that's where that little spinny thing is going to go. I call it's the table plate is the official name. Okay. Then I'm going to go down another level, and I put the fillets there for you. Chris, do you have a question?
Yeah, for the plate boss, what do you know, like, how to make that part?
Oh, that is, yeah, great question. How do you know how to make this arc here? Okay. So let's go into, I'm going to go back up to the boss here. I'm going to look at the sketch here. So if we look underneath here, you see that this is a radius of, it's not easy to see, a radius of 1.1875. That goes all the way to the top here. Okay. All right. All the way to the top. And that just extends here. That just extends there. And then this line coming down is 3.125 to that edge. So if we look back over here, what I did in this one, because the whole front view was done already, I projected this radius in the front. I projected this line right here, and then I put a radius right there. And the radius was a circle with the origin here, and I just attached to the side. That's why there's not a radius. Yeah, but it's the radius, it's the distance that was created on the outside. And then this radius extended, but then I deleted the segments.
It's attached to the center.
Correct. It's the origin. Yep. It's attached to the origin. The origin of the part is that whole 0.265 where the table plate would go into. Okay. When it's assembled. And I put that in a little bit.
Thing that cuts off that little circle without a certain distance.
This is 3.125. Yep. And that is found in this view right here. All the way over. Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot of hunting back and forth for these dimensions. So I'm trying to make it a little easier for you. Yeah, but if you have any questions as you're working on this, like where things are, yes, please ask. So that's the sketch there. And then, we're going to hit on okay. And then it's extruded up 1/8 of an inch. Okay. So it gives it just a little bit more of a distance there. Yeah. Good question. So then we did the base, the hole went through here. I had to get the boss on top first before I put the hole in, because we wanted it to be a through all. And then if I turn this over, this is where the center underneath of that boss is as well. So that's what kind of that extension was for. And then I did the fillets there, which is 1/8 of an inch. There is a note on there. It says fillets are 1/8 of an inch unless otherwise specified. So I really kind of went by that. Now we're going to start in. So you'll notice on my design tree here, anything that had to do with the base, I started with the word base, just so that I kind of knew where I was. And I tried to do everything about the base up on top. Okay. Now we're going to get into the arm. Okay. So the arm, before we start looking at the construction here, let's look at the arm. So this arm is going to be done using a swept blend, okay? And the reason it needs to be a swept blend, if we would just use a regular sweep like we did with our gear teeth, we had one profile, one sketch, and we just pushed it along, a curve. In this case, we have a wider cross section for this T section down at the bottom here than we do at the top. So what happens is we have to make those transitions. All right. And that's going to be where the work and the time is for this command. Okay. So I want to walk you through that. So we're starting wide at the bottom and it's going to gradually get closer together. And if we look, here's the section coming through. This is giving you, where you see this section line, those section lines, that's giving you the dimensions for one side of what I'm calling the T section of our arm profile going up. Okay. So when I look here, the next thing that I'm going to do is I am going to create my T profile at the base. So this is the first one. This is kind of like where things are. See, this is where things are starting. You can kind of see it like on here. Okay. That's going to be the first profile. And again, you get your dimensions, half of them. So here's the center line. This is 1/2. Okay. On one side, and then it would be the same mirror image on the other side for the full T. Okay. So that's going to be right there on the actual surface of the top of the base, which happens to be the top plane. Then what we're going to do, so that's our first section that we create. Each one of these has to be a sketch. It's not going to be an extrude. It's going to be a sketch, because then we'll select that sketch, the different sketches in the swept blend command. Now I'm going to go down, and the next thing that I created was my first trajectory, and I called this the trajectory on the inside. Okay. So if we look here, this one, the trajectory in is this line, which would be top, going straight down before that radius is in there and going all the way up and over. Okay. If you look in your procedure, I give you the dimensions for that. And the other ones I think I tried to as best I could. If you can't see dimensions on this printout, go into the PDF and then you can zoom in and you'll be able to see it better. So right here, this is, I'm not sure what page this is on, but here are the dimensions for that inside trajectory. Then the next step is I did the outside trajectory. Okay. So these are the two paths that T is gonna like follow. Okay. Then the next thing that we need to do is we need to make some datum planes. We need to make datum planes wherever there is a change along the trajectory, along any one of those trajectories. So where the changes occurred, I'm going to kind of bring this, I'm going to look at the front view, I think it'd be easier. The first change occurred, I don't know if I'll be able to, along here, it's going to, like along that outside trajectory, it goes up straight for 1.625 inches, and then it starts to curve. So that at that 1.625 is where I have to put my first datum plane. Okay. Because then I'm going to have to draw another sketch on that plane. So that's going to be what we do first. This is going to be datum number 1. So at the bottom of, I should have page numbers. I'm so sorry. This is the swept blend arm, but at this bottom of that same page, you're going to notice that we did the trajectory on the outside. And then now we're going to create a plane, and it's going to be called datum 1. I leave these alone. I'm not going to change the names of the datum planes or the points or the axes, but we're going to keep track of them. So this is datum plane 1. It's an offset of 1.625 from the top plane. So from this plane, we're going to go up. All right. So to create a plane, all you're going to do is you're going to select the plane that you want to offset from, and you're just going to click on plane. We did this the other night. And then over here in the dialog box, it's going to want to know what is the distance between that plane. And then it's also, you're going to see it, show its direction. You're going to slide that either top or bottom, or click the arrow. And then you're going to put in 1.625 here. Mine is already in there. And then you're going to hit OK. I'm going to hit cancel. And now what it creates is the next. This is going to be the datum plane 1, or datum 1, DTM 1. That's my first datum. Then I'm going to do another datum plane from that top view, giving you the dimensions here in step E on that page. This is 2.125, and that's this one. Again, coming from the top plane, 2.125 up. The next one is going to be datum plane 3. Datum plane 3 is going to be an offset of 3/8 of an inch to the left of the right plane. So the right plane is right here. This is datum plane 3 right there. Okay. And then you're going to create datum plane 4, and that's going to be 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch from the right plane in. So you've got, if you would, 3 vertical planes, including the right plane. Here's front plane, so I can see those straight up and down. So here's the right plane. Here's datum plane 4. Here's datum plane 3. I know it should have been 3 then 4, but it wasn't. Then you're going to create a point. You're going to create a point at the very top of where this outside radius ends. That's your next change, if you would, in the curve. Then you're going to create an axis. That axis is going to go through the intersection of datum plane 1 and the right plane. Oh, no, I'm not going to say that like that. It's datum plane 1 and datum plane 4. That is going to be the center of where that's going through. That's going to be the center of that sweep, if you would. Okay. Then what you're going to do is you're going to create datum plane 5 through that axis and the point. All right. So you have the axis selected, you click on plane, and then what you're going to do is you're going to hold the control key when that dialog box comes up, and you're going to select that point, and then it's going to put it right through that area. Okay. And now you get to sketch that profile, that T profile, as it changes and gets shorter and shorter on each one of those planes. So the first one that you do is you're going to sketch on datum plane 1. Datum plane 1, this is a straight sweep, so you don't have to do anything. You don't have to really change the sketch. You're just going to project the one that's down below into this one. Okay, because that one is actually just a straight, going straight up to start the sweep. Then you're going to do the next one. You're going to go to the top here. You're going to put a point at the intersection of that trajectory and that plane. And now you're going to make it just slightly shorter. It's just a little bit shorter. This side can remain the same. This side of the T on this sketch, you can directly project, but this one you're going to have to like pull in. Okay. Then you're going to go up to datum plane, the next one. Let me see, back over here. Now you're going to sketch over here. You're going to put 2 points at the top and the bottom as your gauge of how, low and high that's going to go. And I have a sketch in there as well for you. Yes.
When we're sketching, is that like middle part of the T?
Yes. Yes. So this part stays the same width and the thickness. This part stays the same. And you're correct. It's getting shorter, shorter, shorter as we're going through. That's what we're doing. Mm-hmm.
So we're able to like take the sketch and copy the whole.
I wish. I really tried to copy that sketch and tried to do it. I ended up redrawing. This part of the sketch you can project, that the bottom part of the wide part of the T. You can project that each and every time. The problem is up here. I was struggling trying to, there's no move command. Like if you would, like what I was hoping, like in other softwares, where you project something in and then you can just move it, translate it a distance. Like if you know how much shorter that needs to be, just move it that part. I wasn't able to do it. I wasn't. So I ended up redrawing always this part of it to that length. Yeah. So that's what took a lot of time for me. That's what took a lot of time. And then we went down to, we did the next profile. Okay. So it went there and then the very last profile. 5 and 6 are exactly the same. You can do a project directly in, and 1 and 2 are the first one, the base, and number 1 or whatever the sketch number is, and number 2, those are the same. It's the 3 in between that take a little bit more time. All right, now something I'm going to let you know about each one of these sketches. I'm zooming in here. I put the fillets, and I did it both ways, and I'm going to tell you it didn't work the other way. So I put the fillets on at the sketch level so that it went along with the sweep. I originally did it without them because I tend to default to putting them in at the model level, and it wouldn't go in. It did it on one side of the arm, but it wouldn't on the other, and I could not figure out why. I mean, I kept looking back and looking at my sketches and trying to align them, and everything seemed fine. It was the exact same thing on both sides, but for some reason, it kept like just giving me an error on the fillet on the one side. So then I decided, okay, let me see how this works, putting the fillets all in on this individual sketches. And then it went right away. It was no problem. There was no errors. There was no issues. So putting the fillets on. Now you can try it the other way. As you know, you can do something in Creo one day and you can do it the exact same way the next day. And all of a sudden there's two different results that you might get sometimes, but this was dependable. Like every single one, it went real easy. Okay. Once you have your 2 trajectories and your 6 sketches all in place, that's going to be the time it's going to take. Now you're ready to do your swept blend. Okay. So I'm going to push this down here. Push it down. Yeah. I'm going to push it down. Let me see what else I have here. I'm going to delete it. I'm going to show you how to do this. Okay. All right. So I've got my trajectories and I've got my, oopsie. And I've got my sketches. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do that swept blend. So again, you have to do the swept blend. It can't be a sweep. In other software, this is called a loft. That's where you might have heard it before. Like that's the familiar term. They just use swept blend here. And it's when you have different cross sections that this is sweeping into. So I'm going to do the swept blend. I'm going to then first start with my trajectories. So I'm going to select the inside one first. Okay. And then I'm going to hit the control key and I'm going to select the outside one. So there's a origin and there's a secondary. So you're going to notice that the origin, we start at the bottom here with that arrow. Okay. That if it doesn't happen that way, make sure the arrow is down at the bottom here. You can kind of see that there's this start arrow down there. It's going to start at the bottom and we're going to sweep, along that line in that direction. Then we're going to go to the tab here that says sections. We already have our sections select or created, so we can just go ahead and select the sections. That's what you want to do. Okay. Now I'm going to shift. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to kind of rotate this around like that, because I want to be able to see them all. So the first section it wants to know. So I'm just going to hover over the one on the base here. I'm going to left click. And what you want to note at this point is where this purple arrow is. It's in that corner right there. All right. Because then when the next one comes up, we want to align those purple arrows. Okay. I think we did this the last time when we might have or we might not have. Now you can't go to the next section and just select it. You have to say insert first. And now you're going to select the next section. Okay, so that's that one. Now we need to find where the purple arrow is. The purple arrow is over here on this one. I need to get it over and back to this corner here. Once I align the 2 corners, now it's going to start building it for me. Okay, if you don't see that build, you got to figure out where was that original purple arrow. All right. Now we're going to insert again, and I'm going to grab section 3. Okay. Find the purple arrow, get it to that front corner. There we go. And now it continued on again, right? Bring it down here. Insert. I'm going to grab this one. It's here and it looks like it's okay, but it's actually twisted. All right. It's not right. So you'll notice that my purple arrow is here. I got to go all the way to this side over there. And now it's even. Okay. So watch that twist. Make sure that those purple arrows end up on the correct corner. All right. Now I'm going to insert again and I'm going to go here. Again, it twisted. So my arrow is on this side. I've got to go to that side. That side. There we go. Okay. So you can see that it's an even. And then I'm going to do insert one more time. There we go. My arrow is up here. So I've got to bring it down to that corner. And now it finished it up. Okay. And once you see it, that it's all good, you've got a green check mark, you're done. Okay. So that part of it is actually pretty easy. All right. It's really the time is going to be spending in making those separate sketches. Okay. So that is the swept blend part. That is going to where you're going to be spending on this part, probably 75% of your time. Okay. Now the next steps that we see here underneath, what I did was I gave you, and again, I'm not going to go ahead and demonstrate that every one of these steps. I wanted to show you this process. So we're here right now. And now what you want to do is you're going to start the rest of the part. And the next part is the rack holder. That's going to be the front end. If we look, that's this part of our frame. So that's going to be this front part. So you can see here, here's the sketch, and then this is going to be the extrude. Then you're going to add the pinion side collar. This is going to be on the front view side or the front plane side. This is going to be the radius that we create here. Now, if you're in the room and you want to look at this front part, very similar over here. There's a little bit of nuance differences in the arm itself, but this front area, pretty much the same. Okay, so if you need to look and kind of figure out where your lines are coming in from the detail on the drawing to, you know, what we have here. Again, I'm giving you some clues on the sketch as well as where we're extruding to. Then we've got the pinion holder because there's another little section in front of there. Then we're going to go on the other side. I call this the shaft side. So this is where the pinion shaft is going through. The pinion side is where it has like the gear stuff of it. And then that little stub that's coming out the front, I call that the shaft portion. Okay. So this is the shaft holder on the opposite side of that pinion side. Then if we turn the page, you're going to then put in, I call this the cast recess. So this is a cast like rectangle that goes on into the inside and creates a void on the inside there. Then we're going to do the opposite side, shaft collar side, the shaft side collar. And then we're going to do the holes going through, one for the shaft and one for the pinion side. Now, for the pinion side, want to recall that when we did the outside diameter of the pinion, because we used a different tooth size or different size tooth than what the drawing called out for, we used the spur gear tooth. It has a diameter of 1.167 instead of 1 1/4. So this dimension is larger actually on our shaft. So when it goes through the hole here, not the same size. So do not use 1 1/8 inch size hole here. You're going to go back to your shaft up here and you're going to make it that size. Does that make sense? Okay. And then part of what we're going to practice tolerancing is we're going to specify the fit and you're going to, you know, adjust those on the detail drawing. So that is that hole there. So that I just tell you don't use the dimension that's listed. It's going to be the one that's going to actually be on the part. You're renaming each one of these features for me as well. That way they're easier. There's a lot on this design tree. So you want to make sure you know where things are if you have to go back. Then it's going to be the shaft side hole. And then this is going to be the recess that we create for our rack to actually go in. So like the cut where it's going to sit in there. This is where too, kind of thinking ahead. Remember, we have a front plane down the middle here. We put that front plane in the middle of that rack. So now when we assemble, it's plane to plane rather than trying to, you know, center it. So that's why that's there. Then after this point, all of the main features are in place and all you have to do is add holes and then the fillets on the outsides. And those fillets are easy. They are not like the ones that were along the trajectory. Okay. So that's the process. Okay. And I wanted you guys to have this so that you can work individually. I'm here to help you. And you can kind of take your time and not have to worry about trying to follow along with me and, you know, hit the right buttons to do what you're going to do. So, any questions at the moment about the frame? I know you're going to have questions as you start moving in it, but what we're going to be doing now, you know, kind of using this procedure. I don't want to call it a tutorial because I don't know that it's every button, but it is, you know, one step to the next to the next. All right. If not, then you get to work. Okay. And I am here to help you along. So I am going to stop the recording and I'm going to let you